extreme scoring to do the work for you. Allow extreme scoring to do the work for you.
Suzuka Circuit is more than just one of Japan's most spectacular racing circuits, it's a gem for open wheel and GT racing worldwide. While gems aren't the prize for the IFL F3 Series Championship, we're awarding a championship today nonetheless, and the point spread is as good as anyone could ask for in a Formula-style championship, with Easton Chapelone ahead by just 2 points ahead of today's finale. Hi, welcome to Pit Stop TV and the virtual Suzuka circuit in Suzuka, Japan. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and I'm so glad to welcome iFormula League back to Pit Stop TV this week, brought to you by Extreme Scoring, Capital Sim Racing, The Butt Kicker, and Into Objects. With just today's races remaining, however, for drivers, time has officially run out, and it's time to lay it all on the table. Let's get in the sim, and we'll take a look first, of course, at today's track map brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams. Of course, we are at the 3.57-mile Suzuka International Racing Course, as it's still named in the sim, but that's a little bit antiquated in these days. You can see the brand new logo rolled out by Suzuka Circuit earlier this year in 2022, and I think it quite matches the new vibe, if you will, of racing in general, kind of simplified a little bit. But of course, Suzuka is a track that I'm sure we all know and love at this point, especially if you are in the open wheel racing kind of fan base or scene. Of course, down through turn 1 and 2 and up through the S's to Dunlop, and the Degner curves at 8 and 9, the hairpin at 11, 200R that takes you to Spoon Curve and around and down the back straightaway to 130R in the Casio Triangle. There are notable corners on every portion of this racetrack. Really, there is no portion of this, there's no spot on this track that is not notable in some way, shape, or form. There's been so much racing that's taken place here at Suzuka. So much has happened. It is such an important circuit to motor racing in 2022. Enough about Suzuka Circuit, though. Let's take a look at our point standings coming into the final round of the season. You can see Tico Krisman, he now trails by 2 points, despite being on top of the qualifying chart that we'll get to in a moment. Jake Potts is 4 points back, and James Miller is just about out of the championship. So it's a 3-horse race. Easton Chapelone, Tico Krisman, and Jake Potts. And I see 2 of those. Oh, well, there we go. All 3 drivers are here today. Tico Krisman currently at the top of the board in qualifying. Jake Potts, though, in 6th, while Easton Chapelone, the point leader coming into today, rides in the 3rd position here in qualifying. But this is just qualifying, and only one of those cars is currently on track, that being Jake Potts. We'll jump on board and ride along with Jake, who was the point leader, I believe, going into last week. Or last race, I should say, Indianapolis. Across the line that time, he is about 2 seconds, about 1.5 seconds, it looks like, off of pace. His best time, a 1:51.779. That last time, a 1:53.327. So he has got plenty of work to do. Pole time today, it's a 1:51.047, so you can see he is just over 7/10 off of pole. That said, I don't think Jake has to get pole in order to win today's championship. I don't think anybody does, really. Whether it's Tico, Easton, or Jake, it's going to come down to maximizing between the 2 races, and that might not even mean outscoring each of their competitors in both races. I think mathematically, they're darn near even. They are just about even, each driver is. So you could go second in both races, and depending on where the other 2 finish, I think wind up on top of the other 2 drivers at the end of the day, especially if you come in with today's advantage of 2 points, like Easton Chapelone does. Speaking of which, here he is on track in car 81. Out of the California Club. This is the man everybody's chasing this afternoon, and that's got to feel like a pretty good position. That's got to feel pretty darn good to any racing driver to come into a day being the driver that everyone else wants to be, and is certainly chasing. As we have just 3 minutes left in qualifying, Easton about a 1/2 second off of pole, but again, I really don't think neither Easton nor Jake has to get pole by any means. I think they can let Tico do his thing in this first race, just try to finish 2nd or 3rd. And in race number 2 in the sprint race, take advantage of the fact that Tico's going to be behind you, get some spots early, get those points early, and hold on to them. That's really what it's going to come down to. A 21-lap race for our Grand Prix race, a 5-lap race for our sprint race today at Suzuka. So plenty of racing, although that sprint race is going to go by rather quickly, I think, by comparison to a lot of Suzuka races. As we stay on board here with Easton Chapelone down to turn number 1, just 2 minutes left in this session. And by all means, to those of you tuning in, a big thank you for doing so. We certainly appreciate it here at Pit Stop TV when anybody tunes into our broadcasts. Go ahead and follow us on social media. We've got a lot coming up this week, and I really do mean a lot. We just started the North American Racing League GT3 Series Season 4 on Thursday at Road America. That will continue this coming week, going to Virginia International Raceway. And tomorrow kicks off a week of racing for the Elite Performance Industries Speed Week, a brand new event put on by them to take advantage of Week 13 in iRacing that does begin Monday night or Tuesday morning, depending on where you're located. A big thank you, of course, to our partners here with the iFormula League, Extreme Scoring, Capital Sim Racing, Butt Kicker, and Into Objects. All such wonderful partners here of the series, doing so much for us and allowing us to go racing on Sunday mornings. It is nearly noon Eastern time, so yes, I can say Sunday morning, especially for you West Coasters. You guys get to enjoy Sunday morning for just a little bit longer as well. Staying on board here with Easton Chapelone as he tries to wrap up his qualifying run. He will do so here with just enough time to spare and might even get one more lap in through the Casio Triangle. And where will car 81 go in our speed chart? Out of the final corner, it's a 1:52.65, so a second off of his best time, not even to mention the gap to Andy Ray Miller and Tico Kridgeman. By the way, the gap to Andy Ray Miller is very small. It's only 5/1,000ths of a second, as you can see on your scoring pylon on the left side of the screen. Let's take a look here at Tristan Marshall from Blue Frog Racing as he works through the S's, it looks like. And actually, that's out of Spoon Curve, so he'll head down the back straightaway. Might get a chance if time rolls over to wrap up his qualifying lap. Hopefully he does. In car 114, as he is mired back in the 15th position. Qualifying comes to a close, and the answer is no. No qualifying attempt for, well, no further qualifying attempt there for Tristan Marshall. Before we go down your Whiplash Media starting grid, a big thank you to Alexander Shanna finding us on Facebook and reaching out. And I think we found each other kind of in an iRacing group and just managed to get this deal worked out for a few races this season. It certainly has been a privilege, and I do want to thank once again Alexander Shanna for bringing us in for this back end to the season here for the iFormula League F3M Series. Tico Kridgeman sits on pole. Let's go down your full starting order with Kridgeman there in car 215. That means Andy Ray Miller will start from the second spot on the, I suppose, right side of the track, left side from where we are positioned with our grid camera. Starting third, it's Easton Chapelone, your point leader into today by just 2 points. And then Marion Barbarou starts from the fourth position. Starting fifth, it's Jeff Schroeder, then Jake Potts, the other important driver. They are all in the first 3 rows. Jake Potts, though, the worst of them in qualifying. Joaquim Flodman starts from 7th, Jacob Beezer from 8th. Alexander Shanna will start from 9th, and Frank Beezer will start from 10th. Paul Ayala joins the grid from 11th, Arturo Mayorga there in 12th. John Journey will start from 13th position with Ted Kuhlman in 14th. And the back 4 drivers here, Tristan Marshall, Randolph Smith, Nicholas Marshall, and Jack Clark, make up your 18-car starting grid from Suzuka Circuit. Weather today, a nice 69 degrees, and that one wasn't even planned actually. 69 degrees in the air, 73 degrees on track, and winds out of the northeast around 3 miles per hour. Red lights on though, waiting on the green lights here on the grid. And green flag will fly for Tico Kridgeman and the entire field here for the iFormula League F3 Series. Down to the first corner we go. And already Andy Ray Miller down 2 positions, 1 car way outside. That's Easton Chapelone way out to the outside in turn 1, and he has spun around. The point leader into Suzuka is backwards into the S's. Jake Potts slides into the third position, Tico Krisman leading. This is exactly what Jake Potts needs to do and exactly what Easton Chapelone could not afford to have happen. He is so far back of the field, but it's a different story for car 41. Jake Potts in a position to take advantage of a lot of points in this first race. It is a 21 lapper, so these guys will still have to pit for tires, but boy is he in a good starting position after just a few corners as they work out of the hairpin and through 200R now down to Spoon Curve. A ride on board with driver 41. A little bit of aero wash there through Spoon. That is oh so common. And the field now works on to the back straightaway, if you will. To 130R will go. Arturo Mayorga now slow out of Spoon. He has crashed. Our leaders through 130R. Here we go down to the Casio Triangle. On the left side, that's Jake Potts in the black car. And he gets pushed out wide by Andy Ray Miller. A little bit of contact to wrap up lap 1. Marion Barbaro under fire from Jeff Schroeder. And already it's a much different picture here at Suzuka Circuit. Tico Krisman clear by nearly 2 seconds after one lap. And you can see the battles. One car gets pushed off track. Alexander Shanna gets pushed completely off by Joachim Flodman. Blocks down the front straightaway are always oh so tough to pull off. And Shanna is the one driver out of all of that. No harm, no foul, though. They keep on racing. Meanwhile, here we go. This is Marion Barbaro, Jeff Schroeder. We saw a move out of each of them. And Randolph Smith now has crashed. Jack Clark as well. And both cars are completely junked. Arturo Mayorga also in the 18th spot. He'll pass these drivers. And, hey, here's the comeback, I guess, for Easton Chapelone trying to get back into the points. But he's got a lot of work to do as he sits 11 seconds behind the race leader. Here's Jake Potts in second as he blows through the apex at the hairpin and loses a lot of time to Andy Ray Miller. He's still in a good spot, though. Third position is exactly what Jake needs. He's had a rough couple of weeks between Barcelona, Canada, and Indianapolis since we started taking coverage over. And really, last race, Indianapolis was the toughest for him, I think. Lost a lot of points. At least lost a lot of points in race 1. I think made a comeback in race 2, but it just was not what he wanted by any means. But he's still in this, only 4 points back. I think the drop weeks helping these guys a lot. Battle for 10th. John Journey, Frank Beazer. And one car spins around. That is Alexander Shanna. Just a lap after being blocked on the front stretch. He does a loop there in the Casio Triangle. He will resume, though, and get back on track somewhere right by the pit entry, and he will rejoin in 15th position. What a disastrous start for him as well. John Journey, though, now battling with Paul Ayala as they work on turn 1. This for 8th. And this is the closest battle within the top 10 as Ayala in the 85 leads this battle anyways. And just as it was the closest, it is no longer, as John Journey missed an apex there into the S's and drops back. Now, how about Joachim Flodman on Jacob Beazer here? This is for 6th. They're only a few tenths apart. And the Team Banana driver of Flodman, beautiful set there through the Degner curves. This battle could go between Flodman and Beazer. This could be a good one as well, as Flodman gets right down to the apex there through the hairpin, gets back on power. You can see just how much better he is right now than Jacob Beazer. And here we go. This is the move. No attempt officially there from Joachim Flodman. He certainly thought about it. Two cars in the pit lane, Randolph Smith and Jack Clark from that last lap, well, the lap 2 incident, I should say, last lap. 130R now for Flodman. He tries to get a setup here for the Casio Triangle. He's not going to have the draft, I don't think, to make a move to the inside, and no, he will not. And I do wonder how much the driver is going to try and conserve tires in this race. It's only 21 laps, but that's still 21 laps around one of the longer circuits on the schedule as Tico Krisman goes purple that lap. Andy Miller does him one better, and here we go. Flodman pulls to the left side. Down to turn 1 once again. This is lap 4 now. The 33 on the outside, and Chapelone goes purple at a 1:52.17. Flodman respectable on the outside of turns 1 and 2. Beezer side by side with him. Not wanting to give it up and squeezing a little bit there into the S's, and Flodman has to jump off the throttle. Dancing and prancing through the S's, and Beezer's just a little bit offline once again, giving up a little bit of time. Behind these guys, Frank Beezer also in a battle with John Journey this time, as they're only a few tenths apart into the Degner curves. And one car goes off there. That was Tristan Marshall. No, that was Easton Chapelone, actually. I was just going to mention him. He has worked into the 12th position. He's got a lot of work still to do, but he might get points in this race after all. And I'd say that's rather impressive considering how the lap 1 incident went for him. Just ended up off track, turned around, and boy, that's going to impact the championship quite big, quite largely, as Joaquim Flodman loses a position to Paul Ayala into Spoon Curve. Suddenly, one of the drivers that looked best on track has got some wing damage. Flodman, that wing is torn up on car 33. Let's go back and get a replay of this. I'd imagine this must have come in some contact, and yes, there will be some contact between he and Jacob Beezer into the hairpin. Just as we left these guys to talk about Frank Beezer and Easton Chapelone, watch this. Flodman into the hairpin, just completely botches that and tears up the front wing of his car. Just made a mistake on the braking, and look at that wing. Joaquim now will come down to the pit lane and take service, and he might be able to get away with taking tires now. It's a little bit early, but he might be able to just stretch it if he can take care of them. As he is in for service. He's taking tires at the very least, so he might give this a shot. We'll see. Meanwhile, Easton Chapelone going to have an opportunity then on Tristan Marshall here soon in the Blue Frog Racing Machine. And, oh, there we go. A mistake out of Marshall that time. That's exactly what Easton needs. This is for 10th position, so to work Easton back into the points. Looks right, looks left. On board now with Chapelone, your point leader coming into today, lap 5 of 21, and boy is he in a bad spot. Ted Kuhlman goes around. This is out of the hairpin, it looks like. And he's going to go around again in the butt kicker number 11. He'll resume course, it looks like, but not after that big issue. As here we go, a battle for the 10th position. Tristan Marshall trying to defend over Easton Chapelone. I don't think it's going to work, though. Easton pulls to the left side, down to 130R, and he's got the position. He's clear. Oh, Tristan Marshall back to the inside. A challenge there on the point leader. He does not want to give that position up. Racing hard as car 114. Takes that position back away, but for how long? As Chapelone is now going to have the draft all the way down the front stretch. Looking to the right side, and he's going to have the inside for turn 1. That was a little bit short-sighted there by Tristan Marshall. He could have waited for the front stretch and had the position to turn 1 and controlled this next lap. He's going to try around the outside, but that's not going to work. Marshall way out wide, and he officially gives up the 10th position now to Easton Chapelone. By the way, the best lap between these two drivers differs by 1.3 seconds, and you saw the attempt that Marshall still made. We still had a good race out of that. That was impressive there, and that really backs Easton up. That's an extra 2 seconds he's going to make up now to Frank Beezer. That is huge. Frank Beezer there as one car goes off. That was John Journey on the outside of the Degner curves and nearly comes back on. And thankfully does not collect Easton or Tristan Marshall. But hey, it's another spot for Easton Chapelone, making up a few tenths as well on Frank Beezer. Things are starting to look a little better. Certainly not good, but a little better. Let's see if we can go back and find the issue for Easton as well. This is off the start of the race. Had a great start. The whole shot down to turn one on the outside here of Tico Kridgeman. Hopefully, oh, nearly contact, and that might have made Easton flinch just a bit. That put him out to the right side, or left side rather, and he just let the car go. I want to watch that again. I don't think there was any contact, but boy was it close, and that kind of movement like that out of Tico, I think, scared him. Tico comes up the racetrack and nearly hits him there, and he pushes out wide as a result, and just being that far out, the left rear on the curbing as well probably didn't help, and he just goes for that spin, and wow. Fast forward to lap 7, we're back on board here with Easton Chapelone. Here's the gap up ahead to Frank Beezer, just a second as Jake Potts has a problem. He goes off track and Dunlop loses 2 spots. Marion Barber and Jeff Schroeder both go on by the driver that really needs the points he just gave up, as Easton Chapelone is going to pull up on Frank Beezer. This is into the Degner curves. Back on board with Chapelone. Composure there through the hairpin, and let's not forget, of course, these guys are racing for the championship, but even if Tico somehow drives away with this, they are still racing for 2nd and 3rd, so this is still important that we watch Jake Potts and Easton Chapelone both as they work through this field. Easton now in the 9th position, working on 8th, though, as he gets ever closer to car 61. That said, even if he gets to Frank Beezer, he's then got 3 seconds up to Paul Ayala, and he is 15 seconds behind the race leader. This down to the Casio Triangle now, lap 7 of 21. We're about to hit, there we go, the 1/3 mark in the race as Tico Kridgeman completes lap 7. And Beezer, I think, certainly has to understand that this driver has come from way back in this race and wants this spot. Is he going to put up a challenge into turn 1? He pulls to the left side. Not going defensive for turn 1. Easton, though, holds back. Now a look up the right side, and he waits. Alexander Shannon into the pit lane. This is the onboard from Frank Beezer as he works through the S's, and that time I think Chapelone was smart to stay patient, but I think he could have taken that spot through 1 and 2, certainly. He could have pulled to the right side in the middle of those corners and I think pushed to the inside of Frank Beezer, but a smart move nonetheless as Chapelone now works on the 8th position once again. Through the Degner curves, he just can't afford these laps where he's mired back, and Jake Potts has bend it. Take Jake Potts out of the running for the championship. This the replay as Chapelone moves into 7th, passing Frank Beezer and Jake Potts after this mistake out of the Degner curves. Just got onto the curbing, and he has been to that one for sure. Jake Potts out at Suzuka. This is another replay, just pushed out wide, and it just took a weird set on that curbing. I'm surprised that even wrecked him. I'm so surprised he lost control from that alone. A replay once again. This might show a little better story right there. Gets the apex curbing, just washes out. I am really surprised that that did so much to that car. One more look at it. This is monumental in the case of the championship as we work on to lap 9 now. Jake Potts is another great view from one of the TV cameras right there. Smashes into the barrier, and his day is done. All eyes then to this man as he tries to mount a comeback. 7th position now. 16.5 seconds, though, behind race leader Tico Kridgeman. Tico, by the way, he's already out of the Degner curves, headed up to the hairpin. And he has run a perfect race so far. 4.4 seconds back to second place, and Andy Miller make that 4.7 now as Miller is slow out of the hairpin. That's going to open the door for Tico's teammate Marion Barbaru, and certainly I think Marion going to be on the offensive when he gets there. Once again, a big thank you to our partners here with the iFormula League Formula 3 Series, Extreme Scoring, Capital Sim Racing, the Butt Kicker, and Into Objects, and prizes like what these drivers are getting from the Butt Kicker being paid out today to everybody from the champion all the way down, I'm sure. And the IFL AM Series is brought to you by Extreme Scoring. The IFL AM Series is also brought to you by Capital Sim Racing. Check out all things Capital Sim Racing based in the Czech Republic at capital.store. A small business feel mixed with high-quality sim racing products, Capital Sim Racing is a must for any sim racer. You just watched the pass that Marion Barbaru made on Andy Ray Miller. That was for second position. The IFL AM Series is also brought to you by the Butt Kicker. A proud partner of the iFormula League AM Series, the Butt Kicker provides 3 Butt Kicker Plus units each season, helping these drivers really feel the track. John Journey into the pit lane. And as he takes his service, let's remind you that the iFormula League AM Series is brought to you by Into Objects. With rising app family money on the Apple App Store, Into Objects is there to help you keep track of and save your money. Journey back onto the track. He will sort into the 11th position. Only 7 seconds there in the box. And he's loose. Oh, my goodness. We saw that so much at Indianapolis, and he has completely been to that car, the Lumos Esports number 31, into the wall. And I'm so sorry, but that is not going to work. So Journey back to the pit lane. His day done. Another look at this incident here for John Journey in turns 1 and 2. Fresh out of the pit lane, cold tires, and such an easy mistake to make. We saw that multiple times last race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and it seems like it is going to be an issue once again today. Here's Easton Chapeloni, though, back live, working on Paul Ayala. This is for this 6th position. Easton running them down and taking them off one by one as Paul is going to pit. Jacob Beezer in as well on lap 11 of 21. And here's Beezer. This might be another good opportunity to see kind of what we're looking for in pit stops from these drivers. Paul Ayala into his box. It's only 6.6 seconds for Beezer in the box. Here's Ayala. On the chip a ton, and 6.6 seconds as well, nearly identical between those two. Kridgeman will have just 10 laps to go this time by the start-finish line. The Get Good Racing 215 with Fanatec there on the side of that car as well. Nicholas Marshall into the pit lane. Got concerned there for a moment, thinking maybe there was a problem for the Blue Frog Racing machine, but no. Nicholas Marshall down and away in car 32, 7.35 seconds in the box. Then he will sort out just behind Alexander Shannon. No, just behind Arturo Mayorga, his teammate actually. So maybe they can work together and get things back on track for themselves. Marion Barbaru, teammate to Tico Kridgeman, is 6.4 seconds out of the race lead now as we take a look at your race leader. Just 10 laps to go, this time by, but does Tico pit? Of course, he's going to have to at some point, but does he pit now or does he keep waiting? Does he cover up the undercut from some drivers? I don't think he's worried about it, certainly not. He's on his strategy, he is far enough out to do that. Meanwhile, Jeff Schroeder and Andy Miller, they're both going to pit. So the Get Good Racing cars will stay out, but Miller and Schroeder will both pit. There we go, with 10 laps to go. Cars 333 and 92 as Chapelone goes by, and for a moment will be third position. Looking for 7-second stops out of both of these drivers. We'll see what we get. Also into the pit lane, Frank Beazer, Tristan Marshall. 6.4 seconds there for Miller, 7 on the dot for Schroeder. Here's Frank Beazer, set down and away, 6.3 seconds. Marshall, 7.25, so 7.25 seconds there is slow for the 114. And once again, your race leader out of the hairpin through 200R, 10 laps to go. That last time by the start finish, and quite frankly, there's no touching him at this point. It's going to take a lapped car in the way or something, some kind of mistake to get Tico out of victory lane today. I do think we've certainly got a face-off for driver of the day today, though, between Tico Kridgeman and Easton Chapelone. This is something we've started doing. We don't even have the graphic baked up for it yet. That's how new this is to Pit Stop TV. Kind of trial running this, and we'll do so here for the final race of the season. So between races, we will put up a poll on YouTube. So if you're watching on another platform, you might want to head over to YouTube and be able to put in your vote for driver of the day. I think certainly you've got to look at Tico Kridgeman, Easton Chapelone, maybe even Marion Barbaroux. That lap, no more takers. Not even Easton Chapelone, who's in the third position, trying to make up some time. And actually, he has done that. And he has started to take off little bits of the time up to race leader Tico Kridgeman. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. Certainly not enough for the win, but I wonder if it's going to be enough for other positions that have pitted and that he's trying to get a jump on. A reminder that there's a lot going on at Pit Stop TV this coming week. It all begins tomorrow night. Really, it begins today, if you will. As Tristan Marshall, a problem in the S's. He'll get back going. Let's actually ride on board with Jeff Schroeder as he closes in on Andy Ray Miller. But let's remind you that we have a lot going on at Pit Stop TV. Today we've got the Japanese doubleheader, crowning a champion here in the iFormula League AM Series, and right after this broadcast, we'll be crowning a champion in the Sim Pit Road Racing Series with GTE cars at Fuji International Speedway, and that'll be a lot of fun, I'm sure. So 2 Japanese races back-to-back as we have Suzuka Circuit now, and Fuji in just about an hour and 8 minutes. We'll kick off coverage there from Fuji International Speedway, as Tico Kridgeman will finally work under the pit lane. You can follow along on Pit Stop TV for all broadcast updates, including those for Elite Performance Speed Weeks that begins tomorrow evening from Five Flags Speedway. We'll have, let's see, tomorrow night we're going to have Mazda Miatas and Street Stocks from Five Flags, and then on Tuesday evening we'll begin our dirt racing portion from Fallujah Speedway Park as it's down and away quickly for Tico Kridgeman. One of the longer stops in the field, but nothing to be concerned about as Chapelone is in. We'll quickly check out Chapelone's stop, and Easton down and away at just 6.68 seconds. So he does make up a little bit of time there on the leader, but really he's working to everybody else, and there go Andy Miller and Jeff Schroeder. And he's side by side there with Jacob Beazer. Jacob takes the spot over Easton Chapelone for now. You can follow along for all kinds of updates. We've got dirt racing, we've got oval racing, we've got road racing on Thursday. If you're here for just the iFormula League AM series, and maybe you don't know about it yet, the North American Racing League with Tony Kanaan in it. So yeah, you open wheel guys, you'll like hearing that. Tony Kanaan does partake with his team, Texaco Racing by TK, and does race when he's able. They are headed to Virginia International Raceway this week, and of course that's getting an iRacing update soon. The GT3 cars are going to be brand new virtually, with new tires, new setups, new suspension, new everything really for those GT3 cars. Here we go. This is the battle for third position. Jeff Schroeder defending over Andy Ray Miller. Just follow us on Pits.tv. You'll catch all the action this week, as this battle is good for third position. Through Spoon that time. We'll have 7 laps to go when we get back to the start-finish line, as Marion Barberu is in the pits. Jacob Beezer not far behind. Easton Chapelone, though, he has lost 2 seconds to Beezer on those cold tires. And here's the move, maybe from Miller. No, he's going to wait. From the gearbox of Schroeder's machine. No move there through the Casio Triangle. A really strong race today from Jeff Schroeder. This is the best we've seen him so far since picking up coverage. Fantastic run so far, but Andy Ray Miller trying to change that if he can. And a lead change now as Tico works by his teammate Marion Barberu through the S's and takes that spot back away. Here's the Orion SimSport entry once again. Orion Motorsport entry, rather, of Andy Ray Miller trying to gear up on Jeff Schroeder. This still for third. Through the S's with just 7 laps to go. Tires are nice and warmed up for most of these drivers. Marion Barberu on cold tires, sure. Krisman, by the way, gave up a lot of time to the drivers behind him. I don't know if he was just getting into kind of save mode or what, but he's only 3 seconds ahead of his teammate. That is growing, but only 4 seconds ahead of this battle. I guess 5 seconds now ahead of Schroeder. And oh, a spin there for Jacob Beezer. He's binned it. The Beezer Racing team, number 93, going to leave a wing behind and just lit up the rear tires. Got back to throttle a little bit too soon, and there is no front wing. And that's going to be a pit stop, certainly, for the 93 car. He's going to have to come in this time out of the great state of Texas. Not the day he wanted at all. Here we go. Andy Ray Miller back on Jeff Schroeder. He's a little further back now, and they're actually a lot closer this time to Marion Barberu. So these 3 drivers in a row, and they're not too far up the road from Easton Chapelone. This could be a 4-car battle by the end of the race. Miller dipping his tires just a bit on the front stretch. Composed through turns 1 and 2 into the S's now. Just 6 laps to go last time by the start-finish line. Jeff Schroeder making time now on Marion Barberu more quickly than Andy Ray Miller is on him. Call it a 3-car battle for second, as Tico Krisman is 4 seconds up the road from these guys. And Barberu simply cannot slip up. With 5 laps to go, that's going to be tough. There you see Easton Chapeloni through the frame through 130R. There you see the race leader, Tico Krisman, then his teammate, Marion Barbaru, Jeff Schroeder, Andy Ray Miller. And they'll drive out of the Casio Triangle down through turn 18 and back to the start-finish line. Tico crosses first. 5 laps to go at Suzuka. Through turns 1 and 2 once again, and there is just nothing changing between these guys. They are so equidistant right now. It's really just allowing Easton to make up more time, and if anything, allowing Tico to get further away. Tico now a 4.5 second gap. Chapeloni only down to a 1.4 second gap as Jacob Beezer is stopped once again in the pit lane, and it looks like his day likely done as he sits in position 15. Joachim Flodman meanwhile battling with Frank Beezer. Joachim taking the seventh spot away. I'm sure he would love to be second. And Ted Kuman's going to battle with Nicholas Marshall here soon. That would be for 12th position. All while, Easton Chapeloni is down to 1.5 seconds behind this gaggle of cars. 3 cars in a line. He just can't quite get there just yet. And really, again, nobody moving. Marion Barber is still a second over Jeff Schroeder, who is still just about a second over Andy Ray Miller. Nothing is changing between those 3 drivers. This is the point in the race where aero is making the big difference, and these tires are equalizing. There's really not a whole lot of grip difference, I don't think, and it's just a matter of trying to fight through the aero wash, and right now nobody's doing a great job of it. Here, though, is Chapeloni as he works up to them, or at least tries to work up to them. It's a 1.4 second gap, coming down a little bit. Into the Casio Triangle, going to try and catch a little bit of time here. Up and over the curving there at the first apex and the second. And he just didn't make up much. These guys are so even right now. All 4 of them. Barbaru, by the way, is starting to pull away. He's got 3 lap fresher tires than Schroeder and Miller. That might be part of the equation, as he was the last driver to pit. Joachim Flodman, by the way, after his issue earlier, he has pitted again. So the Team Banana number 33 has to come back in, even after taking that spot away from Frank Beezer that lap. And I thought maybe Joachim could stretch these tires, but it seems like the answer to that question is no. He will come in and take new ones. And yeah, they were pretty blistered, actually. You can see them just a little bit. That was a really quick stop. Actually might have been just for fuel. Regardless, Chapeloni now within a second of Andy Ray Miller. This is for the 4th position. And I think if Chapeloni can get this spot away, he can consider this just about a win. He'll lose some spots, lose a spot in the standings, I'm sure, but he's going to have positions over Tico Krisman for race 2. It's only a 5-lap race, so he doesn't have to defend quite as much. Well, it's about the same time, right? You know, a sprint race is a sprint race. They're trying to get to the same length thereabouts, but it is fewer laps, so fewer times you have to defend in each corner. I suppose that's one way you can look at it here, as Easton Chapeloni works up to Andy Ray Miller. This is the closest anyone has been in this battle in a few laps. It's a 1.5 second gap from Miller to Schroeder, 1.5 from Schroeder to Barbaru. Oh, nearly had a big gain there, but Chapeloni the bobble out of the Casio Triangle, trying to get back to power. He's still going to have the draft for the front stretch. 3 laps to go at Suzuka. 3 more opportunities to try and drive into the 3rd position. Miller dipping again down the front straightaway into turn 1. Chapeloni much more concise down to the apex of turn 2. Nose to tail on the S's at Suzuka. And for all intents and purposes, Easton Chapeloni needs this position. He cannot hold back. Into the Degner curves. The NVIDIA 81 holding back a little bit. There we go, the opportunity, and he's going to get by Andy Ray Miller, or at least get alongside of him for the hairpin, and he takes that spot away. Easton Chapeloni up to 4th. That was the mistake he needed right there. He could certainly use one more, though. I just don't think he's going to get there. 3 seconds back of Jeff Schroeder. That's a lot to ask of a driver to make up 3 seconds in just a couple of laps as Miller wide again there through Spoon. Shanna, problems out of the Degners. I think he's found the outside wall. And we'll find out. A lot of drivers today having problems in the Degners, and that's usual. Just feels like we've had more than usual. Shanna this time just on the curbing, I think. Hung out there for a little bit too long, and honestly, that's really not as bad as that could have been. He takes a little bit of gravel on the tires, a nice little tap to the barriers. That could have been a lot worse. Another look at it here for the driver who pitted 11 laps ago. One of the first ones on pit lane today. I think just losing grip in the tires and washed out, but it looks like suspension damage is limited. If, well, I say that, no, it's pretty bad. Trying to get through 130R right now, and oh, he's having some issues. We'll join him on board as it's 2 laps to go for the leaders, but nobody is close to each other yet. This is Alexander Shannon, the Casio Triangle, trying to mitigate the damage and get back to the pit lane, I'm sure, and he's just going to take the tow. I think that's smart. Actually, he's not taking the tow. He's just waiting, and now he gets back going. He's going to pull into the pit lane. I'm not sure what this is going to help him do, but he's going to give it a shot anyways. This is Shannon back down to the pits, and he will make it. Meanwhile, Tico Kridgman down the back straightaway. We're going to 130R, and then it'll be a white flag for Tico. A 4-second gap to his teammate in this Grand Prix race. Chapelone, by the way, has made up a half second on Jeff Schroeder. He's at least to the point where if Schroeder makes a mistake, he's going to have to stay honest. And I think Easton will be able to put some pressure on then, but for now, it's just not going to happen as Easton Chapelone going to take the white flag this time at Suzuka. This white flag, of course, brought to you by Whiplash SimCam. Let's go back on board with Chapelone as he hunts down Jeff Schroeder for the third position. It's a 2.3-second gap in closing. Let's paint the picture for you. Kridgman enters today 2 points out of the championship lead. Chapelone enters today with that championship lead of 2 points. Of course, you can see they're swapped by 4 positions right now. Chapelone needs this position. After the conclusion of this race, they're going to invert the top 12, I believe, and reset them and go racing once again, but only for 5 laps. This has been a 21-lap race. So Chapelone will have an advantage over Kridgman, but he would like to get these points. He needs to get these points. Closes a little, but certainly not enough. It's still a 2.2-second gap without a big mistake now out of Jeff Schroeder. It's simply not going to happen for Chapelone. Kridgman through Spoon for the final time in the Grand Prix race. Absolutely perfect. No complaints on this run from Kridgman, that's for sure. He'll work down to the Casio Triangle for the final time in this 21-lapper. And take top honors and max points so far to this point. Tico Kridgman going to win the Grand Prix race at Suzuka Circuit. Max points in race 1 of the day. And there is Tico Kridgman celebrating a little bit, I'm sure, as his teammate Marion Barbaru comes up, but both of them know there's still a job to be done in the 5-lap sprint race coming up. Ciappellone quickly tows back to the pit lane. He does not opt into this extra victory lap. Cool down lap, I suppose, but Krigsman in such a good position after that one. I can't imagine that he's going to be upset by any means with the lap 1 or the race 1 effort. And I think if Ciappellone does not get scared by the near contact they had in turns 1 and 2, we have a very different story. The top 10 has crossed the start-finish line, just a couple of cars to go, those being Ted Kuman and Nicholas Marshall. Here's Kuman. And Marshall through 130R will ride on board with car 32 to the start-finish line and go through your unofficial race results. So out of the final corner, Nicholas Marshall will go 12th, but let's take a look at the unofficial race results, and these will finalize in a moment, and we'll get an idea of any penalties potentially. No, those actually reset right away. Well, you saw them for a moment anyways. It's a shame they couldn't have been up for a little bit longer, but the important part is the race win for Tico Krigsman and the 4th place for Easton Ciappellone. While these guys get on track for their warm-up session between races, we will be right back here at Pit Stop TV for the 5-lap sprint.
Allow extreme scoring to do the work for you. extreme scoring to do the work for you.
Welcome back to the virtual Suzuka circuit. We rejoin you today from the grid here at Suzuka, ready to go for race 2. Let's quickly walk down it. On pole after the invert, it's Nicholas Marshall. Ted Kuman will start from second place. Starting third, it's Joaquin Flodman. And, well, already like that, the point is, Easton Chapeloni starts 9th. Tico Kridgman starts from 12th. Waiting on the green flag here for race number 2. They just didn't give me enough time to walk through the full grid. Everybody back on down to turn 1. Jake Potts has sat out the start of this race. He is done for the season. 3 wide to turn 1. Marshall in the middle. Contact on the outside. One car goes spinning. That's Joaquin Flodman. How about our points leaders, Tico Kridgman and Easton Chapeloni? Chapeloni's through to 5th already. And there's mayhem in the back. Tico Kridgman, he gets through it all. Chapeloni through to 3rd. Kridgman is 8th. More chaos. That was Jacob Beezer hitting John Journey. He goes for a spin. Kridgman gets on by Marion Barberu. Team orders there, certainly. As now Kridgman is going to have to run from 7th up to the front in just 5 laps. Chapeloni in 3rd for the hairpin. He needs a few more spots, and oh, the rear end kicks out that time out of the hairpin. Arturo Mayorga and Ted Kuman lead this field. Ted with the actual race lead. Arturo's 2nd. Nicholas Marshall, Joaquin Flodman, Jacob Beezer already in the pits. Add Paul Ayala to that list. Down the back straightaway, Tico Kridgman watching a fight in front of him. Tristan Marshall, Jeff Schroeder as they go side by side to 130R. Schroeder takes that spot away. Andy Ray Miller is 4th. And here we go, a nice little battle into the Casio Triangle for the race lead and everything behind it. Easton Chapeloni all over them. Out of the final corner, 1 lap complete at Suzuka. Side by side, let's make it 3 wide as we go down to the first corner. No, 3 wide will wait. Chapeloni waits. Ted Kuman keeps the race lead. Arturo Mayorga will stay in the 2nd spot. Tico Kridgman now gets on by Tristan Marshall. That's for 6th. Chapeloni really can't wait on this battle. He has got to get by as quickly as possible as they nearly go side by side. Now through Dunlop. Miller's going to take a look as well, I'm sure. So there is no waiting right now. If you're Chapeloni in car 81, you have got to go. Miller's going to have a run up through the Degner curves. A bit of lag there on Ray Miller, but here we go. Down to the hairpin. Arturo Mayorga has the advantage. Andy Ray Miller around the outside, and it's going to work. He takes both spots away. A 2-for-1 special at the hairpin, and Tico Kridgman is side by side with Jeff Schroeder for 5th. Kridgman now straight behind the driver that he needs to beat. As Andy Ray Miller went around the outside of the hairpin in one of the most impressive moves I've ever seen at Suzuka. And here we go, Kuman on the outside of Chapeloni. He is going to just barely get in the way of Tico Kridgman. What can Tico do by 130R? He's going to draft up to the left side using the slipstream. Side by side and just behind the 81. Poised, though, through 130R, no issue. Kridgman has that spot, and there's, nearly a car. There is a car off. That was Schroeder. No, that was Shanna, Schroeder's teammate through the grass. Arturo Mayorga is going to lead lap number 2. 3 laps to go in the sprint race, and this is the battle for second rather. Chapeloni with a run. He's going to get on by Miller, it looks like, or at least side by side for turn 1 and 2. Nearly has him cleared. Miller fights back to the apex of turn 2. Easton gets by, finally clear. Right now, I don't have the official count, but I believe Cipollone would still lose the championship to Tico Krigsman, who is now working on Andy Ray Miller. Just 3 laps to go. Call it 2 3/4 at this point. Krigsman going to have a run for the Degners. Miller out wide. One car stopped there on the outside of the corner. I think that was Paul Ayala. A rather precarious position for him. Andy Ray Miller completely botches the hairpin. He goes wide. And there it is. I do believe, unofficially, I think that gives the championship to Tico Krigsman no matter where Easton finishes. Easton, by the way, does move ahead for the race lead in Spoon. He gets that spot on Arturo Mayorga. So Mayorga now is the last line of defense for Easton Cipollone, and maybe the 2 points he had helps, but I really think that at this point, it's Tico's championship, unless Miller can get back to him. Casio Triangle now, it'll be 2 laps to go this time by. While we have a quick break in, the height of the action, let's go back to whatever happened on the start of this race. We're going to ride on board here. This is from Tico Krigsman's perspective. We'll go up to Joaquim Flodman. On the outside of this 3 wide, that's Tristan Marshall in the middle and Ted Kuman on the inside. Marshall just tags Flodman, and it's disaster from there. And then who knows what happens here. Just chaos, more contact. As Frank Beezer there, and he gets into, I'm not sure who that was. That might have been Ayala, and yes, it was. And there was simply more chaos as the race progressed through this first lap. Thankfully, though, the championship competitors were able to get through it. We don't have a storyline being ruined by virtue of just lap 1 mayhem, but there was so much going on this opening lap. Back up to the action, though. Krigsman on the offensive. This will be a battle for second place as we rejoin live action in Spoon. We'll have 1 lap to go when we get back to the start-finish. Can Mayorga hang on and give Cipollone a fighting chance? A good exit that time out of Spoon, and I don't think Mayorga is going to last to 130R. He pulls to the left, now he pulls to the right and gives the inside line to Krigsman, and Tico Krigsman is through. And it's entirely unofficial, but I think at this point you can consider him your champion. We'll find out, I'm sure, shortly post-race. And if you're a driver, of course, you can find out in the league Discord. But 1 lap to go. 1 lap remaining in the season for the iFormula League F3 AM Series. That was a purple lap that time from Krigsman. White flag presented by Whiplash Simcams. Can Krigsman push and get there for both race wins today? He currently sits just 7/10 back. He was purple that lap by 2/10. That was a best lap for both drivers, Cipollone and Krigsman. The gap grows a little bit through Dunlop, down to the Degner curves. How hard does Tico push here into the hairpin for the final time this season? 7/10 as there's a battle behind with Mayorga and Miller. This is an auxiliary battle at this point, but for 3rd position on the racetrack, and Andy Ray Miller wants to take 2 podiums today. Actually, I don't think he finished in the podium in race 1, so this would be a first podium for him today as the Orion machine goes on by. And Tico Krigsman has 7/10 to make up on the back straightaway alone. I don't think he's going to do it, but ladies and gentlemen, I believe unofficially that he may be your champion as long as he makes it through 130R and the Casio Triangle. Here's 130R for both drivers. 5/10 the gap. closes in a little bit into the Casio Triangle, over the curbing. Easton takes a little too much. He closes in some more, but it's not going to happen. Easton Chapelone will win the final race on the season, but I believe Tico Kridgeman is going to be your champion, taking it all at Suzuka. The rest of the field comes on through. Randolph Smith, Jack Clark, and Paul Ayala. Easton Chapelone has to swallow, I believe, a championship defeat, all as a result of what happened to lap 1, turn 1. And we'll wait for official confirmation before really diving too hard into this, but considering Chapelone finished 4th in race 1, Tico finished 1st, and Tico finishes 2nd here in race 2 to Easton's 1st, I have to imagine that by points, this championship should go the way of Tico Kridgeman. We'll find out soon. Everybody celebrating a season well done, and a big thank you, of course, to our partners here with the iFormula League AM Series, Extreme Scoring, Capital Sim Racing, The Butt Kicker, and Into Objects. I know we weren't around for the whole season here at Pit Stop TV, but we saw just enough. Races 7, 9, and 10, and boy, were they a lot of fun between Barcelona, Indianapolis, and Suzuka. It has been a privilege. It has been a pleasure. So drivers, teams, admins, thanks for having us. And I look forward to talking to these drivers here in just a few moments. Let's go through your unofficial race results here from the sprint race at Suzuka. Finishing first, Easton Chapelone with the win here in the second race. That is oh so important. It might be enough points, but I don't think it is, as Tico Kridgeman, I believe, will have enough points to take the championship today at Suzuka. Andy Ray Miller finishes 3rd. Arturo Mayorga there in 4th. Jeff Schroeder 5th. Marion Barber is 6th. Alexander Shanna 7th. Don't know where I got 9th from. John Journey there in the 8th spot. Frank Beazer, Randolph Smith, the remainder of your top 10. The back half of the field, Jack Clark, Ted Kuhlman, Tristan Marshall, Paul Ayala, Nicholas Marshall, Joaquin Flodman, and Frank Beazer, as Jake Potts does not start this race. Crashed out in race 1, and decided that was it for the season. Into the pit lane, Tico Kridgeman, I believe, can celebrate a championship again, waiting on complete official word, but I can't imagine a world where it doesn't happen, as we'll await his appearance in the post-race interview booth. In case this is it for you today, I invite you to follow along here at Pit Stop TV and catch our upcoming broadcasts. Here's a look at them in just about a half an hour. In fact, 33 minutes will begin coverage. It's the Symbiont Road Racing Series from Fuji International Speedway at 1:30 Eastern. Tomorrow night, though, we kick off a week-long set of coverage for the Elite Performance Industries Speed Week from Five Flags Speedway in Volusia Speedway Park. First up tomorrow night, it's Miatas and Street Stocks on the pavement at Five Flags. Then Tuesday, it is Dirt Legends and Midgets on the dirt at Volusia. That said, drivers are joining the post-race interview room. It's not our champion yet, no matter which driver it is. And yeah, the message in AM Drivers chat, I think, says enough. Easton Chapelone to Kridgeman, GG. Let's bring in your assumed champion of the season. And Tico, I'm trying to do some math. I've done a little bit of math, but it looks like you've got the championship today. How do you wrap up this final round at Suzuka?
I'm really happy to win the championship in this way. I was looking really strong already in the qualifying, and I saw that in the race as well. I actually had a spin after my pit stop that cost me a lot of time, so that made me quite scared. But after all, a great season, great win to end with. So yeah, I'm really happy.
And of course, with all of the drama lately in open wheel racing and their championships, this has got to feel, like you said, like a good way to win this championship. No real drama. You and Easton battled for it heads up.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if we had contact at the beginning of the race, But yeah, it was a fun battle with everyone in the season. So I'm looking forward for next season. I don't know if I'm still going to be allowed to race in there, but yeah, we'll see.
Well, there you go, Tico. Congratulations to you. I know we were only here for a small portion of this season, but it seems like you were really the driver to beat, and that is evidenced by the championship. Congratulations, and hopefully we're talking to you again soon.
Thank you.
Tico Kridgeman there with the championship for the iFormula League F3 series. And of course, this is the AM series. There is a Pro series that runs along with it, so we got to stress that. This is the iFormula League Formula 3 AM series, and it's a big win today, certainly, for Tico Kridgeman. Let's move on down to the next driver in line, which appears to be... Let's go Jeff Schroeder in the 92 machine. And Jeff, we've spoken to you, it looks like each week that we've broadcasted here. How did your race go? How did things go here today at Suzuka?
Oh man, this race was pretty intense from the start of the feature race to the end of the sprint. I tried to get a few points because I was in for P4 in the championship. And therefore I didn't fight too much because if I crash then my chance is over, right? And therefore I didn't fight Marian too much. I also felt my tires going and I was on limit there in the feature race. And yeah, for the sprint I just tried to keep it as clean as possible. And I needed P7 to get P4 in the standings, I think. And yeah, it worked out. I'm super happy today.
How tough is it when these tires wear out? How tough is it to maintain control and either just try to get to your pit stop or just try to complete your race strategy if you pitted early?
Yeah, so the problem with pitting early is you might get into traffic. And if you get into traffic and you have cold tires after the pit stop, and here in Suzuka they were just crazy slippery, then you have a hard time like not getting overcut, right? So if you come in too early, you get into traffic, lose 4 or 5 seconds in the traffic, then the car you are fighting against, he can pit, come out in front of you, and yeah, there is your chance. So I was trying to wait as long as possible. Then when I saw Andy pit in front of me, I followed him. Unfortunately, his pit entry was very, very slow. I lost about 1 or 2 seconds entering the pits. If I would have waited a lap more, then I would have overtaken Andy right away. Yeah, it's tricky.
Well, admittedly, I got kind of absorbed into the I guess, between race festivities, if you will, but you were up for driver of the day. I didn't put the photo up. That's on me on YouTube, but it was between you, Easton, and Tico. It was honestly a lot of fun to watch you there in the feature race, especially. Congratulations on a job well done today. Hopefully we're talking to you again soon.
Yes. See you the next season, right?
Hey, that's the hope.
Yeah. Thank you for doing the broadcast, and thanks everyone for watching. See you next season.
There you go, Jeff Schroeder, car 92. He wraps up a pretty good season. It seems like battling for P4 here in the final race in the points, and a good day here at Suzuka for sure. Let's grab Marian Barbaro for our final interview of the day. And Marian, it was a good return to competition for you. It seemed like you were very competitive, super competitive, of course, with your teammate Tico. How'd it go for you, though, from your perspective?
Yeah, hello, Andrew. It was a really good race today. The car felt amazing. That's why it felt really good to drive it, and I know I had the pace. But I'm so happy for Tico. He took the championship, I believe. So congratulations to him.
I think it's still technically a little bit unofficial, but it definitely looks like the Get Good Racing driver, your teammate there, Tico, takes this championship. How important is that as a teammate? Of course, you were able to help him out throughout the season, I'm sure. How important does that feel as your teammate?
Well, we discussed it a bit, but for sure this race, for me, this was the priority, to help Tico as much as I can. So in the beginning, I fought Jake. I put some pressure on him and he spun. He was a bit unlucky for him because the battle was really nice, but it happens. It happened for me many times during the season. But after that, yeah, it was just managing the gaps and in the sprint race, making sure that I can also help a bit Tico because it wasn't sure that he's a champion after the feature race. All in all, it was an amazing race week. I'm so happy, both for my performance, but also the team. And I'm really excited for next season. We really want to challenge P1. Currently, we're P2, I believe, in the championship as a team. So, yeah. Also, thank you very much for doing this broadcasts. They are amazing.
We certainly appreciate the support, Mary. Congratulations on a job well done, a season well done for both yourself and your team. And hopefully we're talking to you next season. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, for sure. See you, mate.
Marion Barbary wraps up a job well done today here at Suzuka. And that will do it for us here from Suzuka Circuit. One more look at your upcoming broadcasts here on Pit Stop TV. There are a bunch of them this week. Here in just about 24 minutes, we've got more action today from the country of Japan. It's the Sim Pit Road Racing Series from Fuji International Speedway. GTE cars, make sure to tune in here in just a little bit. Monday, it's the Elite Performance Speed Week kickoff from Five Flags Speedway, Mazda Miatas. That is the MX-5, and Street Stocks from Five Flags on the Oval. And, of course, Tuesday then, as I mentioned earlier, the Dirt Legends and Midgets on the dirt at Volusia Speedway Park. Wednesday, we're going to have big block modifieds and 410s at Volusia. Thursday, it'll be a doubleheader of action for us here at Pit Stop TV. First with Elite Performance Industries at Speed Week, day number 4, with e-NASCAR trucks from Five Flags Speedway, and then the North American Racing League from Virginia International Raceway. But of course, we'll get to all of that here in a few days. Thanks so much for tuning in. Once again, follow along here on social media. There are plenty of places to follow us: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course, and Twitch. We certainly do hope you've enjoyed our coverage, at least of the back end of the season here for the iFormula League AM Series. We have enjoyed being here. It's been a lot of fun. A big thank you to our partners here with the iFormula League AM Series: Extreme Scoring, Capital Sim Racing, The Butt Kicker, and Into Objects. And that's it. It's always difficult to wrap up these seasons, always difficult to say goodbye, but unfortunately we must at some point. Thank you so much for joining us to this point, and we certainly hope you'll stick around for more action at Pit Stop TV. Whether or not we have this series back next season, we hope you have become a longtime fan of the channel, and we hope to see you in more broadcasts. But for tonight, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Allow extreme scoring to do the work for you.